What's up, guys? Welcome back to GoHamDiscGolf. I'm Big John. And before I start this one, I'm going to keep on flipping this disc around and showing it to you in all my videos that I do indoors, just because I want you guys to remember that I'm giving this guy away. I don't want anybody to forget about it. If you come across this video and you're not entered into the contest, do it. All you have to do is go to Facebook, go to GoHamDiscGolf on Facebook, and leave a comment on the question about what your home course is. And you have to be subscribed too, but to enter that contest you have to leave a comment on that status. I had somebody yesterday ask me how they could make sure that they were entered into the giveaway for the Innova competition bag. Just to clarify, guys, I'm not doing that giveaway yet. I'm going to give it away on the 1st of November because I want to see if we can get to 200 subscribers by then. Because like I keep on preaching to you guys, if we get to 200, then I'm going to give away the Innova competition bag. I'm going to throw in a pair of back saver straps. Alright? So let's jump into this video. This is it's a beginner tip video. It's about what you can expect, or just to talk a little bit about what goes on when you play disc golf in the really cold weather. And when I say really cold, I'm talking about like freezing to below freezing weather. I live in Michigan, like some of you guys do, and we've come to expect in the winter for it to be, you know, it can hang out at like 10-15 degrees, sometimes a lot lower than that. And playing disc golf in that kind of weather does make a difference. The first thing that's worth mentioning is that a lot of your discs will fly more overstable than they normally do. Now, it's not a huge difference. You're not going to let the disc go and automatically it's going to cut over and just fall down 15 feet in front of you. That's not what I'm saying. But let's say, for example, you're throwing a Nuke OS, and a super overstable disc that will cut to the left, like every time you throw it, no matter what kind of weather you're throwing it in. If you play in the winter when it's really cold, that Nuke OS will start cutting sooner. You can pretty much expect it to happen that way. And the reason for it is that the air is less dense in the winter, so there's less friction. Now, the more friction you have, the more the disc is going to try and fight its natural overstable tendency. But with no friction there, no humidity in the air, nothing is pulling this disc back to the right. So it's just gonna do a little bit harder what it's meant to do. If it's meant to go overstable, expect it to go overstable a little bit sooner. Not a tremendous amount sooner, but a little bit sooner. And you might want to compensate for that. Another thing that's worth mentioning is that it is completely possible to shatter a disc in the winter when it's really cold. Now, not every disc is going to, you know, hit a tree and destroy itself. But you can almost expect, like if you're throwing a beat-in Pro D or DX disc and you hit a tree super hard, you might end up splitting that disc in two or breaking it into 15 pieces. There's some discs out there that really fight the cold weather well. Like Discraft Flex plastic does a really good job. You can beat that thing against a tree all day and probably nothing will happen to it. Star Plastic from Innova does a really good job in the winter. Also, H Plastic from Gateway does a really good job in the winter. The only thing that I can say about H Plastic for the Gateway discs, it's more domey than any other of their plastic styles. So you might not like how they fly, but on the other hand, you won't end up destroying the disc. Now, going along the same lines, it can be a real issue for you to find your disc in the winter, especially if there's deep snow. So there's a couple ways you can fight that issue. The first one, the most obvious way to be able to find your disc in the snow, is to throw very bright colored discs. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I only buy bright colored discs. I don't go out and buy a camouflage disc to play in the summer and then, you know, buy a bright orange disc to play in the winter. So for most of you, you won't have to go get a specific bright colored disc for playing in the winter. Another thing that you can do that is completely PDGA approved, they will have no problem with this, you can do it at a tournament, there's no issue with it, it's completely approved, is you can take some ribbon and duct tape it to the inside of the rim. and that way it's like streaming off the side. That way when you throw a disc, whenever it lands, even if it buries itself in the snow, you have a really good chance of seeing that ribbon popping out of the snow, and you won't lose a disc. Now that's something you have to be careful with, because I have never seen this, but I've heard of guys throwing a disc that had a ribbon on it and having it come back around and slice their finger open. I've never seen it happen, but I've heard of it plenty of times from guys that I know, from pros, all kinds of stuff. I've heard of this happening, so be careful. Another thing is that when you put ribbon on a disc, if you launch your disc into a tree and it's playing, plinko on the way down, if you got 30 inches of ribbon on this thing, there's a good chance you might get caught up in the tree, and that's something that a softball can't fix. Alright, the last thing that I want to mention about playing in the really cold weather is that, we put on a lot more clothing when it's going to be 10 degrees outside. And that's something that you have to compensate for too. If you've got 3 layers on, if you've got a big old winter jacket on, if you have snow pants and different boots than you're used to playing, it's going to make you throw a little bit differently. You're not going to have the range of motion that you normally have for your X-step, for your pullback, for your release, all that stuff. If you're playing with different shoes, if you play with the same shoes all through summer, and then all of a sudden you're playing in the snow and you've got really, really heavy boots on, you're not going to have the same footing that you normally have. So remember that. Now, after mentioning all these things that you need to be aware of and that you might have to compensate for in the winter, please do not let that stop you from playing in the winter. If you're one of those guys that only likes to play in the summer or the fall or the spring, that's fine. That's you, that's your decision. But if you're a guy that wants to play year-round, no matter what, wants to go ham in the winter and brave the elements, don't let the cold weather or the snow stop you. Play through it. Go out there. Have layers and layers of clothing on. Wear some different shoes, something that's going to keep you safe and warm, and play in this cold weather. Because I'll tell you what, it's going to make you better. It's a new way to practice, and it's something that's going to prepare you for any situation. You don't want to be that guy that's playing in a tournament and doing really well, and then all of a sudden the temperature drops, or it starts raining horribly, and you don't want to be stuck not knowing how to handle that. So play in those conditions. I'm going to do it. You guys should do it too. Alright, so before I end this video, I want to ask you guys a question. How many of you have played in the snow? And I'm talking about, at least 6 inches of snow to more than that. What are your experiences of playing in cold weather and snow and all that good stuff? Alright guys, I'll see you next time. Don't forget to go ham.